So the next tip deals with how to manage, implement, and monitor effective access control. So we've already gone through an asset inventory, which again is where you're gonna start in implementing most of these controls. So you have to document your critical assets, and those are going to be the assets that are going to require the strictest access controls, the strictest password controls, the highest approval levels prior to being granted access, the most restrictions in terms of, or not restrictions in terms of monitoring and logging. So the higher up or the more privilege that an account has, the more stringent the monitoring and logging should be, and there should be all privileged user individual activity should be logged. So how do you approve that access? How do you provision it? Who has access to provision it? And then who's responsible for the monitoring of that access? Who's responsible for ensuring that terminated employees are removed from the system, and that the personnel responsible for that are notified when an employee is terminated? So access control has a lot of HR and human resource processes along with the traditional IT processes. So when a new employee is hired, is there a ticketing system that automatically generates a request based on that employee role? Is that employee role documented so that you know when a server admin is hired, they're going to need this access, so there's no guesswork in terms of, oh, here's someone from this group that is going to get hired, so I think they need access to these servers and X, Y, and Z. The more formalized it is, the better. Of course, formalization has to be reasonable, so the size of your organization will really determine how deep you need to go in terms of documenting roles and responsibilities and the access privileges that are tied to those roles. So is there a ticketing system with a workflow? Are asset owners required to approve access requests, or system owners or data owners, depending on your organization and who is approving what? Is that access control reviewed on a periodic basis? So if I am your Linux admin and I am managing your Linux farm, and I'm the one assigning super user access, am I going in every 90 days and making sure that list is still appropriate? If someone who used to be an admin moved on, that I'm maintaining control of that access listing? Are those privileges being logged by the device itself, and then are those logs being shipped to a central log aggregator in a SIEM? Is unusual activity configured to be alerted by the SIEM and is being monitored by your security analyst? So, and are there password controls that are uniformly applied across critical assets? If single sign-on is used, are the appropriate password controls and two-factor authentication enforced and inside that critical asset domain? So there are a lot of different aspects of access control. You want to make sure everything is formally documented. You're using a ticketing system that you have determined who is required to approve and monitor for different access control systems, and that access is logged and monitored by security personnel.